Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Fiqh Made Easy. Today we're discussing the 9 things which break our fast. The first one is eating and drinking. What we mean by this is that during the hours that we are fasting, which is from Fajr Salat in the morning, from Fajr Azan until Maghrib Azan, we're not allowed to eat anything and we're not allowed to drink anything. If we do eat anything, if it's intentional, so we intended to eat something or drink something, our fast is then broken. If it's unintentional, for example, perhaps it's the first day of Mahr Ramadan and you're not used to being fasting, you've forgotten, you're out and about, or your friend offers you something and out of habit you pick it up and put it in your mouth. As soon as you have remembered that you are fasting, you have to take it out of your mouth, you have to spit it out. Sometimes it may be the case that you will eat something fully, you'll swallow it, it's gone in your stomach, finished, that's it. In that case, you can't do anything about that. So what will happen is, because you actually had forgotten that you were fasting, Allah will forgive you for that. And your fasting is still in order and it's not broken. During the hours that we are fasting, it has been prescribed for us or ordered to us that we are not supposed to get close to our husband or husband to his wife or whatever. It is so that we actually maintain our spirituality and we're not distracted while we're fasting. The third thing that we have to avoid is something which is haram altogether and should be avoided anyway, and that is masturbation. The fourth thing that we have to avoid is ascribing lies to Allah, our Holy Prophet, and the Holy Ahlul Bayt Islam, including Hazrat Fatima Zahra Salamun alayha. What we mean by this is we're not supposed to say Allah has said this in the Quran, or to say the Prophet has said this without full knowledge that actually it has been said. This would be considered as ascribing a lie. And we have to refrain from this, because doing this would invalidate our fast. Our fast would be broken. And it's something which naturally we as Muslims shouldn't do anyway. So it's not something that we should only not do during this month of Ramadan, but it's something that we as Muslims should remember never to do, and to always be sure what we're saying is correct, and to reference what we say, and to never say something that we're unsure of. The fifth thing that we have to avoid is actually swallowing thick dust. Now, a lot of people might be thinking, well, we're living in the UK, there's no thick dust around, it's not like we're in Iraq or India or something where there's dust and we can inhale it. But actually, if we think about other applications of this and times when we could swallow thick dust, one example would be while we're cooking. For example, we might be cooking, we're in a rush, we burn our food, we go to turn off the pan, and as we go close, the smoke goes into our throat. If we actually allow the smoke to go into our throat and we don't protect ourselves, that would break our fast. Another time when dust would go into our throat is perhaps when we're baking. A lot of us like to make sweet things during Mahr Ramadan. If we're pouring the flour into the baking bowl, the mixing bowl, it's possible that a puff of flour might come up into our nose and we might end up breathing it in. Again, this kind of situation would invalidate our fast. The sixth action that we have to avoid is immersing our head completely in water. So that is actually going completely underwater, so our head is under the level of the water and we're totally immersed. When we say immersing one's head, we don't actually mean that our body also has to be immersed. Even if our head is fully immersed, that would also invalidate our fast. So we are allowed to swim in Mahr Ramadan, although it's very, very difficult to make sure that when we go swimming we don't immerse our head fully underwater. So it would be something that perhaps one would have to refrain from. But if we, for example, have a bath or a shower or normal things like this, although water is reaching our whole body, we're not immersing our head fully underwater, so that's okay. The seventh action is remaining in an unclean state at the time of the Fajr Azan. So this would be at the beginning of the day when we want to begin our fast. being in a state which is unclean. Now, this could be due to having relations, man and wife, for example, or sometimes for ladies, for example, this could be due to the fact that they have just had their monthly cycle and they need to make themselves clean and do their ghusl or ritual bath in order to be clean, to be able to begin their fasting from when they have finished their cycle. Another time that this would apply to ladies is following childbirth, when we are in a state of nifas, and obviously when that state is over we have to do our ghusl and be clean in order to be able to fast, and this should be done before the Fajr Azan of that day's fast for our fasting to be in order. The 8th action is taking an enema. An enema is when sometimes for medical procedures or for diagnosing some kind of medical illness, we go to the hospital and they put some liquid in our bowels directly. Although it's not something that's going into our body through our mouth, we're not actually swallowing it, because it's liquid which is entering our body, that would be considered as invalidating our fast. So our fast will be broken. The 9th action is vomiting. Sometimes we're sick and we actually vomit, and this is something which is out of our control. In this kind of a situation, our fasting would be okay and still in order. In other times, sometimes perhaps we're ill and we think that if we actually make ourselves sick we'll feel better, feel relieved. If we actually intentionally make ourselves sick, then in that case our fasting will be void and broken. Thank you for listening.
Allah